Now we're going to look at CAD Object 5. This one is really more trying to figure out what it is mentally than it is difficult. So it's just a whole bunch of lines. I'm just going to draw them at angles now. So I'm going to pull this off. You're going to want to have the drawing in front of you while you're working on this. So I'm going to grab new, I'm going to grab my template. I'm going to go into my model space. And I'm going to start with a construction line. And I'm going to start with a construction line the size of my object. So it's going to be 4 inches wide and 5 inches tall. Because that's giving me the space I'm drawing within. So now I know where each of these corners is. So I'm going to switch back into my object layer. And I'm going to grab my line tool. I'm just going to draw what I know. So I know from here to here, if I go horizontally, 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to come up at an angle. I don't know the length of this line, but I do know that I'm going to press tab and then go at a 45-degree angle. So I'm just going to draw that. That's all I know. I don't know the length of the flat part, and I don't know the length of the vertical part here. So now I'm going to work from my other corner. So I'm going to come over to the left, 0.25, and I'm going to go up at a 30-degree angle. But remember, it's saying pulling from here up is 30 degrees. If this is 180, I'm going to need to go the opposite of that, so 150. So I'm going to press tab, 150, tab, and I'm just going to click. What I needed to know is kind of this information of what's happening down here, except for there's a horizontal here, and that's going to be offset from the bottom here. So I'm just going to draw in a temporary line, doesn't matter how long, and I'm going to offset that 1 inch. Let's offset this, and now I can delete this line. And let's trim this so that way it's going to look like what we want it to look like for the drawing. So there is the bottom of my object. There's going to be a lot of offsets, so let's offset our first part, and it's already set to 1 inch, so I'm going to press enter. And I'm going to offset this line 1 inch. So that's giving me where this part is. It does not tell me, I'm just trying to zoom in, different program. So this line to this line is 1 inch. So that's where I'm getting that offset. Now I'm going to offset this side 1.5. So offset, and I specify my offset distance. I'm going to do 1.5. I'm going to click this, and I'm going to offset that. I don't know the length of those lines. That's okay. We can extend or trim them as needed later on. That's all the information I can go, because I don't know the angle between this and the next line. So now I'm going to do the same process, but working in reverse. So just like I did at the bottom, I'm going to work from the top down. So I'm going to start my line. From this left-hand corner, I'm going to come over 1/2 inch. And I'm going to come down at a 60-degree angle. Tab 60. And that's going to draw that. I don't know the angle between this next line, so I'm going to come from the right-hand side. I'm going to come over 0.25. Notice I'm at a funny angle, so I'm going to press tab, 180, tab. So that way I know I'm going the right direction. And here, same thing, it's pulling from the wrong angle. So I'm going to press tab, 150, tab, and then I can bring that right to or past that other line. So let's trim what we don't need. Trimming as we go helps a little bit, so that way there's less to trim later on once we offset these. Because I need to offset this and this one just like we did before. So I'm going to offset. It's already set to 1.5, so I'm going to offset this right-hand side. And I'm going to grab offset again, and now I need it to only be 1 inch. Let's trim what we don't need. And now I need these lines to intersect with one another to form those corners or edges. So I'm going to change from trim, I'm going to grab the drop down and I'm going to extend. Because I want to extend this line till it intersects with that. And then I'm going to extend this. And notice neither of these is going to intersect with one another. So I'm just going to extend, extend, and then I can trim the extra. So then I can come in here and I can trim what's extra. So I just want to show you, if I turn off that construction layer, I'm missing some lines. So I want to make sure to come back in and draw those lines in my object layer. But turning off a construction layer can be helpful. I don't need to delete the construction layer because it's not going to print it. So I'm going to come to layout 1, and it can actually help dimension a little bit when we're grabbing those angles. So I'm going to double click to get into my model space, zoom extents, and I'm going to set this 1 to 1. And I'm going to change into, can't grab my layer, my dimension layer, and let's dimension everything. So I'm going to do my overall dimensions first. And then I'm just going to go kind of around and dimension as I go. So I know from here to here is 1/2 inch. From here to here is 1/2 inch, or is 1 inch. I'm going to say from this line, oops, didn't want to grab the whole line. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to grab the midpoint, and I'm looking for that perpendicular symbol, and that's what's going to give me that 1. I'm going to bring that there. And the other thing I need to do is a 45-degree angle. So from here to here is 45. So I'm just going to kind of place this so that way I can see it. And once I change this, I can move those around because I don't want any of my dimensions to overlap. But once I change them into fractional, they're going to fit a little bit better. Alright, I can show you. So let's go to annotate, dimension, modify. Instead of decimal, let's do fractional. And I want it to the nearest 16. I'm going to click OK and close. And that's just going to kind of crisp up and clean up some of my dimensions. So I'm going to keep dimensioning. There's a midpoint, and again I'm looking for that perpendicular symbol. If that's not on your O snaps, you can turn it off, or you can type perpendicular. Excuse me. So I think that's everything I have for the bottom half of my object. So let's come up and we're going to do this, what we need at the top. So I'm going to grab my midpoint and I'm going to look for that perpendicular symbol. Let's grab our midpoint and there's our perpendicular symbol. Again, if you need to check your O snaps, I'm going to do OSNAP, enter. And I'm just going to make sure perpendicular, that's the symbol I'm looking for. And I just need those angles. So from here, I'm looking for a line, not a dot. To there, 60. From here to this line is going to be 30. I'm just going to kind of move it out until I can get it to kind of snap inside. And I am just going to move this one a little bit so that way it's not right on top of that 30 degrees. So I can do the same thing with my 45. And you can just kind of make these so that way they look the best. And that looks pretty clear. I do just want to, before I do the title block, because I think I might have pulled from the wrong point, so I just want to preview this. See how this gave me lines that it's saying from here to here, and this is just pointing to a random place on space. I think I grabbed the construction line for those, so I am going to redo this dimension and this dimension. So I'm going to dimension this, and I'm going to actually grab from this line on the bottom to the other line, and that's going to give me that extension line. So I'm going to start with my flat to my angle, and that's going to give me the right extension lines. So now I can call this CAD Object 5. We set our ratio 1:1. Today's date, your block number, and this is going to be drawing number 5. So, save into my AutoCAD folder. Block number underscore username underscore what is it? So object 5. Save. And let's print it. Print. I'm going to always preview. And that looks good. And I can hit OK. Be sure to turn in all of your practices and attach them to the Google Classroom. Be sure to ask questions if you get stuck.